My name is Anna Babiak, and today we will be talking about community-engaged learning. So just a note before we get too into the weeds in this, community-engaged learning is also called service learning. It's basically the same thing. In the literature in higher education, the term community-engaged learning is used more. So it's also abbreviated CEL, so you might hear me call it that throughout this podcast because you will probably get tired of hearing me say community-engaged learning all the time. So, I'm interested in how to implement community-engaged learning in education today. Personally, I am a secondary education and biology major, so this topic is super interesting for me. It's fun because I can bring in my knowledge from my education courses and also combine that with my research skills from biology to tackle this thing of discipline-based education research. So hopefully today I will bring you into the world of STEM education. And specifically, my research this summer focuses on how to implement community-engaged learning into college STEM classes like microbiology and psychology. CEL isn't just limited to college, though. It often takes place with elementary, middle, and high school students, too. So what is community-engaged learning? I have a hunch that most people probably don't know quite what this is. It's not a term that we encounter all the time in our day-to-day lives, but it is an important term. Community-engaged learning has the potential to benefit students, and if it's benefiting students, it's going to benefit society. But in a more direct and immediate way, CEL benefits the community. College students can spend their time bettering the surrounding community, and this comes in many forms, and we'll talk about some of them today. So today, I am going to speak to students from a range of disciplines and careers. This will help give us an idea of what, in general, people know about community-engaged learning, how they feel about it, and some ideas of how to implement it across disciplines. So let's hear what they have to say. Okay, please state your name, major in college, and what you are planning on doing with it.
My name is Cameron Booth, and I am a psychology major, and I'm planning on becoming a clinical mental health counselor.
So my name is Amelia Cuomo. I am a double major in physics and environmental geoscience, and I hope one day to be a geophysics researcher.
My name is Carrie Rose McDonald. I majored in communication studies at St. Mary's College, and I plan to be in hospitality management.
My name is Paul Babiak. I majored accounting, and right now I'm an accountant doing fund accounting for a trading company where we trade stocks, bonds, all sorts of stuff.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for participating. Your first question is, just when you hear the phrase service learning or community-engaged learning, what do you think of? Do you have any ideas of what that might look like in the college classroom? So service learning or community-engaged learning?
When I hear that phrase, I probably think of more hands-on learning. So maybe a classroom is going out to do some rehab in the community, like building a house or fixing it up, or just volunteering at a shelter, or just other ways to give back to the community, maybe like promoting some of their values.
When I think of service learning, I think of having to go out and engage with people in different organizations, whether it's, young people who need mentoring, getting involved with any church groups or maybe hospitals or something like that. But essentially learning by helping or learning by doing.
So the actual definition of community engaged learning, it's kind of this combination of academic work and solving community issues. So it's addressing societal needs, and it involves student preparation and reflection. That's a big piece of it that separates it from just community service. And it is this integration of learning in the classroom and then applying it out in the community. Okay, so with this new understanding of community engaged learning, what benefits do you see from it? Like what could be?
Well, I still can't get over the community service aspect, so I feel like no matter what they would be doing, it would be beneficial to the community in some way.
Do you see what benefits then? So definitely the community, any for the actual students doing the work?
It would kind of force them to get out and experience real people and real situations. And I feel like it would really benefit them in applying what they're learning very practically.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the big pushes for it, and it is this form of experiential learning. And yeah, kind of this idea that you can't learn certain skills just by sitting in the classroom.
I think you're going to maybe have more productive results. So like if you've done more research and you're able to use skills that you've learned at school that maybe not just your average volunteer like doesn't know, you're maybe going to have a more fruitful experience. And plus, like you said, the big part is the reflection at the end, and that's such an important, it's a very like humane part of it. You know, it's like a very important connection.
So kind of on the flip side of that is, do you see any drawbacks or complications to implementing this into a college classroom?
Not really right away.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the possibility for your engagement to stray away from your study topic, but even still, that's at least tangential to what you're learning in class, and then it might open up a research question that you're really interested in or another field that maybe you'd like to work in. I mean, that's the only problem I can really see.
Definitely that was something in our survey that we gave that did surprise me that people did think of too, is that it might take away from kind of the lecture, like the main focus of the class. So I think that's just something that if instructors are aware of, you can help frame it in a way that it doesn't do that, and that it is supposed to definitely be built in to work with your course goals.
It could be difficult, especially if it was group-oriented, to plan it out and find events in which you could do that and find the times in which you could do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Time was definitely in the literature a huge thing that students were concerned about. But I think that is something to consider in how like the instructors frame it to your students with deciding how much time is required is definitely something that you have to figure out the right balance for. Final question is, what ideas do you have for what a community engaged learning project could look like in your discipline?
I think especially
it's kind of hard.
Well, I mean, with physics and geology, they're so physical. They're both very physical sciences. They're everywhere. Like,
right.
I think from an experimental standpoint, there are lots of physical things that come with my discipline that you can show to students early on, get them thinking about physics, questioning physics, and that seems like a good community service thing to me.
And, like, seeing how it is in everyday life.
I was an accounting major. I think how could an accounting major get involved in, service-based learning? But we did, actually, now that I think about it. I had totally forgotten about this. It's been a while since I was in school. But we did a tax assistance program. So they taught me how to do people's, federal and state taxes. And then once or twice a week, we would go meet up with people, and they'd bring us their tax information, and we would help them do their taxes. So it was kind of cool knowing people, wanting to get people's different situations and being able to help them through taxes, which are, something that people get a little freaked out about.
One of the things that my research this summer is going to kind of focus in on, too, is how this can benefit students in either their career choice or exploring different career options.
It's so funny because, I probably should have relied on this more heavily when I was interviewing right out of college. So unfortunately, I didn't really harp on it that much, but I probably still should have, because I think, like you said, I think there was some, the more reflecting back on it now as an adult, the more it was pretty great.
I think that's an interesting point, too, and a way maybe that instructors now can bring into their classroom and emphasize to students, just remind them, yes, this is something that is valuable, and, just learning something from maybe something that you didn't necessarily have, but how can we improve that for future implementation of it, which is what we're interested in. All right, well, I think that's everything I have, so thank you so much.
No problem, man. It was good talking to you.
Thank you so much to all of my interview participants. It was really fun to be able to sit down and chat with each of you. That was a little insight into what some people know and what their reactions are to community-engaged learning. Community-engaged learning really spans across disciplines and has potential to be implemented in many different college courses. This learning by doing is a valuable educational approach and can build a skill set that students need to overcome challenges in today's ever-changing world. And there's the bonus of colleges helping out the surrounding community. It's a win-win situation. I encourage you to think about what community-engaged learning might look like in your field, your discipline, your career. How could it be beneficial to students and thus society? That's all for today. Thank you so much for listening.